year ago, productivity was hushed up and wasn't talked about. But now everyone from bankers to politicians are talking about productivity. Why the change?
Robert, I think that momentum has been building on the topic of productivity for a couple of years now. It's started to gain a lot of traction because the economic pressures on the nation as a whole and our competitiveness have really started to hit home in a number of sectors, a number of industries, and also because we are looking at an uncertain political environment, and perhaps the thing that has changed most is some of the negative connotations that I think the term productivity has entailed have started to peter out, and people have started to look at more of the positive associations with productivity, which is actually about working smarter and doing more with the good resources and the other assets that we have, and recognising that some of our companies are really competitive on a global stage.
Anthony, is it really hot air? Because these organisations or companies can't measure productivity.
Look, I think it's a hard topic. In an economic or economist's view, there's some macro economics and there's some calculations that are done, and it talks about labour and capital and all the rest of multi-factor productivity. But when it comes down to tin tacks and what companies and the captains of industry and leaders can actually do, it really does need to be unpacked in the context of individual situations, either in individual industries or in the case of individual companies. And so I think where the hot air topic arises is that our surveys and the work that we've done in our research over some years shows a big gap between the intention to be a productivity leader and the intention to set it as a top priority, and then the actual follow-up in terms of what companies are doing. And that really comes down to measurements, target setting, and the ability to take that message right through the organisation.
Anthony, why have organisations been so slow in organising productivity changes?
I'm not sure they've been slow, but I think they've struggled to unpack the difference between intent and action, often because there's a gap between the policy setting layers of an organisation and the way to execute, and also because it takes a long time to actually implement a productivity initiative and see the benefits and measure it. It's not something you can do in 1 quarter or in 1 year. It's actually something that takes several years. So you need to really start on a journey and see it right through. And I think obviously the patience of some organisations and their direction changes during that period.
What happens to companies that do stick to this productivity path?
We've seen tremendous benefits among the organisations that have really harnessed the topic of productivity, got top-down commitment from their leaders and cascaded that through the organisation with appropriate measures to the industry or the company, and the proper investment in productivity initiatives. Often they're technology-based initiatives, but not only technology-based. They may be all about increasing engagement levels of people in the organisation with training and with the enablement technologies and understanding of what the company's processes are. And they also may involve things like really focusing on the drivers of value for the organisation. And what we've seen for those that really do harness that topic and that journey is a series of well-placed investments and actually outperformance in a number of factors, a number of objectives for the organisation in being successful.
So they've turned out to be winners.
That's exactly right. You know, there is a group of leaders, it's about 25% of all organisations that actually have seen demonstrated benefits over the period of our research, which goes now for 4 years, and shows that they have actually achieved organisation goals beyond simply their initial productivity goals. More effective work has occurred in those organisations. They've done better in revenue terms, better in cost terms, and as a group, based on their own assessments, they are outperforming the followers.
How should firms start this productivity journey?
Look, but based on our research, it's very clear that productivity needs to be a whole of organisation topic. It needs to be embraced by the top levels of management, so the CEO down needs to really embrace the topic and drive that through the measures and the metrics and the programs that are put in place to drive out some benefits.
What about from the bottom up? What can people do at the grassroots level to increase productivity?
I think there's a lot that individuals can do as well, particularly around looking at how work groups engage how decisions are made, how meetings can be conducted more effectively, how many reproductions of work occur or rework actually occurs, and trying to prevent some of that wastage occurring in the operational areas of different firms, different companies. We've seen that if you can eliminate errors on the way in, you often solve a lot of issues on the way out. So if we get the bill right, for example, each time, then that doesn't lead to complaints and credits and rework. And the customer's a lot more satisfied as well.